Welcome to Pink Blade. Here, we don't just watch stories, we step inside them. Today, we're diving deep into Bridgerton Season 3, Episode 4.
And what an episode to dive into. It's the midpoint of the season, the hinge upon which the entire narrative door swings. And honestly, if you thought the first three episodes were just a fun, breezy romp through the marriage market, this is the episode that, it grabs you by the collar, shakes you, and reminds you that the stakes are incredibly high.
Absolutely. We are looking at the episode titled Old Friends. And I have to say, right off the bat, that title feels a little ironic, maybe even a bit mean. Because by the end of this hour, I don't think friends is the word anyone, not the characters, not the audience, would use to describe the situation.
Not even close, no. It's almost mocking us, isn't it? Old Friends serves as a bridge, sure, but it feels like a burning one. We are watching the social architecture that these characters rely on, the polite smiles, the dance cards, the so-called lessons in charm, just completely crumble. It's the end of an era for them.
Okay, so let's set that scene before we get into all the chaos. We're deep in the season now, the social season, I mean. And usually at this point in the Bridgerton rhythm, we're seeing courtship solidify. But for the Featheringtons, it feels less like a courtship and more like a tactical survival mission.
We really need to talk about the pressure cooker Penelope is in, because I think it's easy to forget that amidst all the romance.
It is a pressure cooker, and to understand why this episode hits so hard, you have to strip away the romance for just a second and look at the economics of it all. You have this huge disparity in status. You have the Bridgertons who are, they're essentially the royalty of the ton. They have security, they have money, they have social capital to burn. Anthony handles the bills. Everyone else just kind of vibes.
Must be nice. Oh, it must be very nice. But then you have the Featheringtons. They are living on the absolute edge. Portia Featherington is constantly juggling funds, hiding schemes. For Penelope, this isn't just about, oh, does he like me? It's about securing a future where she isn't under her mother's thumb forever. If she doesn't marry this season, she is looking at a life of spinsterhood in a house that might not even belong to them if this whole heir issue isn't resolved.
So when we see her with Lord Debling, it's not just about finding a guy who likes books and is a bit quiet. She has a very viable strategy here. We've watched her transition from total invisibility, the wallflower literally blending into the wallpaper, to suddenly being the center of this battlefield. She has a plan. She has a suitor. She's finally playing the game.
She is playing the game, and she's playing it really well. But here is the friction, right? Is she playing it for herself? Or is she playing the role she thinks society wants her to play? She's moved from a passive observer to an active player, yes. But that activity is terrifying to Colin because it's pragmatic. What we're witnessing is a classic conflict between the head and the heart.
Okay, let's break that down because I think that's the core of this whole episode. Lord Debling represents the head.
Completely. And I want to push back a little on the idea that Debling is just the boring option. Because historically speaking, in this world, Lord Debling is the jackpot.
Really? The jackpot? The guy wants to leave for 3 years to go chase birds. He's practically telling her, I will be an absent husband. How is that a jackpot?
But think about it. In 1815, for a woman who values independence, that's the dream. He offers security, a massive estate, and a title. But more importantly, he offers absence. If he goes off to study the Great Auk, Penelope is left as the mistress of her own domain. She would have the funds and the freedom to write, to manage the house, to live her life without a man constantly overseeing her every move. It's a very rational, almost modern arrangement in a way.
I see. So it's the smart choice on paper, a business merger, basically.
Exactly. It's a merger. And he respects her intellect, which is huge. And then you have Colin representing the heart. But it's not the clean, perfect storybook heart we're used to in these romances. It's a messy heart. It's passion, it's history, but it's also just total uncertainty.
And that uncertainty seems to be physically hurting him in this episode. For the first time, Colin is realizing that his usual defenses, his charm, that sort of traveler swagger he came back from Europe with, are completely hollow. They're not working.
They're useless. Utterly useless. He's realizing that while he was busy playing the mentor, teaching her how to flutter a fan and make small talk, he accidentally auditioned for the role of the love interest and didn't even know it until the casting call was closed. He's standing there watching her with Debling, and he has no weapons left in his arsenal.
I saw a lot of chatter online about this, comparing Debling to the rainbow fish. Did you see this?
I did. It's a fascinating take, actually.
I thought it was just a meme at first, but people were really digging into it. The idea is that he's this unique, beautiful creature, shiny scales and all, but he just doesn't fit in with the rest of the school. He's on his own path.
It's surprisingly poignant, isn't it? The rainbow fish theory paints him not as a villain or even a rival, but as someone who is just incompatible with the specific ecosystem Penelope needs to thrive in. He is worthy. He is interesting. But he is destined for a solitary path, or at least a path that doesn't mesh with Penelope's deep, almost oxygen-like need for emotional connection and to be truly, truly seen.
Right, Penelope needs to be seen. Debling sees her mind, he appreciates her intelligence, but he doesn't seem all that interested in her soul.
Or her heart. He's emotionally unavailable in the way she needs. And to his credit, he's honest about it. He's not trying to trick her. But this episode forces the question for her and for us. Is safety enough? Is being the mistress of a grand estate enough if the house is empty?
So, we have the board set. High stakes, ticking clock. Why is this specific episode the turning point? Why does it feel so different from the three that came before it?
Well, structurally, this episode is the death knell of the friends to lovers trope's friend phase. And usually in these stories, there's this long, drawn-out period of, oh, we're just buddies, wink, wink.
Yeah.
We get the stolen glances, the accidental hand touches. All of that completely evaporates here.
It really feels like a genre shift. The episodes 1 through 3 had this romantic comedy of errors vibe. Colin giving lessons, the bad flirting, the awkward moments at the balls. It was light, it was funny. But here, the fun and games are over.
Precisely. We move from rom-com to high-stakes drama. And psychologically, it's because the mentor dynamic is exhausted. Colin has succeeded too well. His lessons worked. Penelope is confident. She's engaging. He's about to get engaged to a lord. And now he is suffering the consequences of his own success.
It's the classic be careful what you wish for.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted her to be happy, but I don't think he ever considered that her happiness might require his absence.
And we're seeing what some critics call the collapse of artifice. Both Penelope and Colin have been wearing masks all season. Penelope has been trying to wear the mask of the practical debutante who just wants a husband. She's kind of dampened her wit to please Debling. And Colin has been wearing the mask of the cavalier, worldly rake who is above it all. This episode just rips those masks off.
It's messy. Colin is, well, the internet has a term for it. He is down bad.
He is completely unraveling. And that's so important, visually and tonally. We're used to Bridgerton leads being polished, witty, and in control. The Duke in Season 1. Cool as ice. Anthony in Season 2. Intense, sure, but he had a plan. Colin, he's desperate, he's sweaty, he's interrupting dances, he's just chaotic. It's a total departure from the cool guy persona he tried to build. And that vulnerability is exactly why it works as a hook for the rest of the season.
Okay, let's get into the deep dive on the specific scenes because there are 3 major moments that really anchor this episode. The first one is quieter, but I think it does so much heavy lifting. It's the scene in the study with Violet and Colin.
Oh, this scene is a masterclass in visual storytelling and subtext. We find Colin in the study, and it's darker, it's intimate, it's filled with his journals, it's his private sanctum.
And he's looking in the mirror, but he's not, checking his hair or fixing his cravat.
No. He catches his own reflection, and he physically recoils. He moves away from it. And this is such a crucial contrast to Penelope, isn't it? Penelope has spent this season learning to look at herself, to own her reflection. She looked in the mirror right before her big transformation. Colin. He is repulsed by the pirate Colin persona he sees. He realizes the man in the mirror is a fake.
That's so interesting. So it's a moment of dissociation for him.
Exactly. He's looking at a costume, a role he's been playing, and then Violet enters. It's always Violet, isn't it? She has this, radar for her children's distress.
She does. But look at the blocking of the scene. He stops her before she can fully enter the space.
Yes. And specifically, she's near the spot where in a previous episode he cut his hand and Penelope tended to him. That's the scene of the crime, emotionally speaking. That's where the intimacy breached the friendship. He doesn't want her stepping into that vulnerability. He's guarding the ghost of Penelope in that room.
And then she drops that incredible line about the candle. Sometimes a fire is slow to burn.
That is the thesis statement of their entire relationship. The candle represents the slow realization of love, the slow burn. But a candle is also fragile. It can burn out if you don't tend to it. Violet is gently warning him. You have a spark, my son, but if you don't act on it, it's going to extinguish. And Lord Debling is the gust of wind that's about to blow it out.
The silence in that scene is so loud, too. There's a real dissonance to it. He's hiding from the light. He's hiding from his mother's knowing gaze. It's just so tense.
It establishes that he is at a breaking point.
Right.
He can't keep this secret inside anymore, but he's terrified to let it out because admitting it makes it real. And if it's real, he can get hurt.
Which brings us to the second key scene, where things get a lot less subtle and a lot more, well, mythological. The ballet.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
The Eros and Psyche reference. This isn't just throwaway dialogue from a side character. It is the key to understanding their entire season arc.
Right, and it's Cressida Cowper, of all people, who makes the observation. She's watching Penelope and Debbling on the dance floor, and she compares the situation to Eros and Psyche battling it out.
And as she says this, we see the ballet performance in the background. There's a male dancer with these golden wings, Eros, the god of love. And if you look closely from the back, the costuming is so intentional, he looks suspiciously like Colin. The hair, the build, it's a deliberate visual mirror.
Okay, but wait, I want to really dig into this myth.
Ah,
Because most people know Eros is Cupid and Psyche is a beautiful woman. But what actually happens in the story that relates to Bridgerton?
It's crucial. The myth of Eros and Psyche is fundamentally about trust and the struggle between the soul, that's Psyche, love, Eros. In the myth, Eros rescues Psyche, but there is a catch. He hides his face. He comes to her only in the dark. He loves her, but she isn't allowed to see who he truly is.
That sounds problematic.
It is. It's all about concealment. So Psyche eventually betrays his trust. Her sisters convince her that her secret husband might be some kind of monster. So one night, she lights a lamp to look at him while he sleeps.
And he's not a monster.
No, he's a god. He's beautiful. But a drop of hot oil from the lamp falls on him. It wakes him up, and he flees. He leaves her because she didn't trust him blindly.
Okay, so how do we map this on a Colin and Penn? Because Colin isn't hiding his face.
No, but the themes of hidden identities and monsters are all over this. In the show, the roles are flipped and mirrored in this really complex, brilliant way. Colin is Eros. He's the one who unknowingly shot himself with his own arrow while trying to help Penelope. He's love personified in this story. But Penelope is the one hiding her true face. She is Lady Whistledown.
Oh, that is such a good connection. Wow. So if Colin represents love and he finds out that she's been hiding her true self.
Exactly. The myth is foreshadowing that their ultimate test won't just be about passion or getting past Lord Debbling. It will be about truth. In the myth, seeing the truth separates the lovers. Eros flees when Psyche sees him. The show is telling us, yes, they are coming together now, but there's a massive secret looming that could drive them apart. Colin is terrified of Whistledown. He thinks she's a monster. What happens when he lights the lamp and sees Penelope's true face?
That adds so much dread to the romance. And visually, during the scene, the blocking is doing a lot of work, too.
It is. Penelope is physically positioned between Lord Debbling and the dance floor where Eros is performing. It's the literal representation of her choice. On one side, Debbling, practicality, safety, the earth. On the other side, the dance. Passion, Colin, the mythic love that is dangerous but divine. She's caught right in the middle.
When she makes her choice, she chooses to leave.
Yeah.
Which leads us to the carriage.
The scene everyone was waiting for. The scene that I think you could argue broke the internet.
I mean, talk about a climax. It starts with the chase. Colin literally running out of the ball, chasing down a moving vehicle. It is absolute social suicide.
It is. We have to understand the Regency context here. A gentleman running in the street, chasing a carriage like a madman. Unheard of. It's scandalous. It's undignified. But he doesn't care. And that's that down bad energy we talked about. The mask is completely gone.
He gets in, and we get the confession. And can we just talk about the dialogue here for a second? I dream of you. I prefer sleep because I might find you there. I mean, that's swoon. But it's also frantic.
It's powerful because it's not polished. It's a confession born of pure exhaustion and desperation. But what makes this scene truly work is the setting. The carriage creates what we call a liminal space.
Okay, liminal space sounds a bit like a textbook term. Break that down for us. Why is a carriage liminal?
Think of a liminal space like an airport terminal at 3 a.m. You know that feeling. You're not in your departure city. You're not in your arrival city. You're just nowhere. Yeah. And because you're nowhere, the normal social rules don't apply. You eat pizza for breakfast. You tell strangers your deepest secrets.
That makes total sense. Or like being in an elevator with someone.
Exactly. The carriage is the 19th century equivalent. Once that door closes, they aren't in Mayfair anymore. They're in a vacuum. A bubble suspended between the ball, society, rules, and Bridgerton house, home, reality.
Yeah.
In this bubble, the rules of the ton do not apply. They are literally in a moving box where they can finally be their true selves.
It feels ferociously private, and the energy shift, it starts with anger. He's jealous. She's defensive. They are arguing.
And that anger is just passion with nowhere to go. Once the dam breaks, it explodes into intimacy, and you have to notice the feral quality to it. If you look at the lighting and sound design here, the carriage is dark. lit only by these flashes of street lamps passing by. It creates this strobe effect on their faces. We just see these snippets of emotion.
And the sound.
It's stripped back. We hear the rumble of the wheels, they're breathing. It's visceral. Colin is disheveled. His hair is a mess. This is not the pretty, choreographed courtship of a ballroom dance where everyone is watching. It's messy and desperate, and that's why it feels so authentic.
And there's a huge power shift here for Penelope, right? Because she asks him to stop the carriage, but then she lets him in. She has the choice.
Huge. Penelope realizes her own power. For years, she has been the passive recipient of crumbs of his affection. Here, she is an active participant. She realizes she has an effect on him. She isn't just being desired. She is driving that desire. When she touches his hair, it's a claim. It's her taking control.
And then the proposal, it's not, my darling, will you do me the honor? It's just chaos.
For God's sake, are you going to marry me or not? It's perfect. It bypasses every single formal courtship ritual we've seen in 3 seasons. No flowers, no asking her mother, no ring. It highlights that their connection is primal and urgent. He isn't asking for a social contract. He's demanding a lifeline. He needs to lock this down now before reality crashes back in.
It's one of the best scenes in the entire series, hands down. And knowing how they made it makes it even better. Let's go behind the scenes a bit. Because while it looks like a steamy London night, the reality was very, very different.
Oh, the movie magic is hilarious here.
So we're watching this incredibly intimate moment in a carriage rolling through the cobblestone streets, except they weren't in London, and they weren't moving.
No, it was a soundstage, a static box in a studio.
And to make the carriage rock like it was moving, they couldn't just use, hydraulics.
Apparently not for the specific motion they wanted. Nicola Coughlan described it vividly. They had a team of crew members, she called them burly dudes, standing outside the vehicle, literally shaking it manually.
That is such a funny image. Imagine trying to deliver a heart-wrenching monologue about eternal love, staring into your co-star's eyes, while 4 guys named Dave and Steve are outside bouncing your box up and down and probably thinking about lunch.
It requires incredible focus.
Yeah.
It breaks the immersion completely for the actors, so they have to work double time to stay in character.
And because the carriage is so small, the camera operators couldn't even fit inside, right?
Right. Usually you have a cameraman right there in the space with you. Here, the director, Andrew Ahn, and the crew had to watch from monitors outside. So the actors were essentially locked in a box alone, with the crew watching a live feed.
I actually love that image. It kind of adds to that sense of privacy we talked about. But let's talk about the look of the scene. The costumes in this episode tell a whole story on their own.
Oh, the costume designer John Glazer did some brilliant work here, specifically with color theory. Look at Penelope's dress in this episode. It's a deep green with a copper underlayer.
Green is a Bridgerton color mixed with the Featherington yellow, right?
Yeah.
We've seen that blend before.
Usually, yes. But this green is darker. It's not the bright, hopeful green of a new debutante. It's organic. It's like a garden at night, not the citrus bright yellows of her mother show she's maturing. And the copper underlayer is genius. It matches her hair. But catch the lighting. When the street lamps hit the dress inside the carriage, the copper glows. It symbolizes that she's becoming a whole person. She is harmonizing with herself.
And Colin, he's not in the baby blues anymore.
No way. He's in dark earth tones, these pirate cuts. He looks like a man who has lived. It contrasts so sharply with the pastels of his youth. He fits the shadows of the carriage. He looks grounded, which is a great balance for the chaos of his emotions. If you were wearing powder blue, the scene just wouldn't feel as dangerous.
And we have to talk about the music, the needle drop. Pitbull, Give Me Everything.
The orchestral version, of course.
Of course, but still, Pitbull in 1815, I feel like this divided people.
It was a bold choice, but let's analyze the BPM, the beats per minute, and the arrangement. The song fits perfectly because of the tempo. A slow waltz would have killed the momentum. This scene is a race against time. The arrangement features these frantic, high-frequency violin notes that mimic a racing heartbeat or even a panic attack. It matches the desperate physical action perfectly. And the lyrics, "Tonight I want all of you," that matches the carpe diem energy. Colin and Penn feel like this is their one chance. If they don't act tonight, she belongs to doubling tomorrow.
It's certainly got the people going. And speaking of the actors, Nicola Coughlan and Luke Newton have shared some great stories about filming this. My favorite is the cut incident.
This is classic. Because they were inside the enclosed carriage and the crew was outside monitoring, and because the scene was so intense,
They didn't hear the director yell, "Cut!"
They just kept acting. They kept being intimate. The crew was outside watching the monitors like, guys, I think we got it. We're done. The director literally had to run over to the carriage, bang on the door, and yell, "Estopi!"
That is hilarious. But it also speaks to their chemistry, doesn't it? They were so in the zone.
It does. It shows a level of trust. They weren't waiting for permission to stop. They were fully present in the character's headspace.
And there was another moment that fans went wild for, the dress fix.
Oh, yes. After the activities are concluded, Colin adjusts Penelope's dress. And he uses these specific fingers to do it, presumably to avoid messing it up with his occupied hand.
The famous mirror fingers.
Indeed. And that was fully improvised by Luke Newton. It was not in the script. The director didn't ask for it. Luke just felt it was a moment of physical authenticity. He was thinking, what would Colin actually have to do in this situation? It added such a layer of realism. It wasn't just sexy, it was caring. It showed that even in the chaos, he is protective of her dignity.
It's the little details that sell it. They talked about how there was a different energy on set that day, didn't they?
Luke Newton mentioned that. He said because they were locked in that box together, it felt private, it felt honest. And Nicola noted that they felt empowered. They had control over the scene. They trusted each other enough to just go for it. And that trust translates directly onto the screen for us.
Now, obviously, the internet exploded when this episode dropped. The fan reactions were wild.
To say the very least.
There was a big debate about the Pitbull song.
Oh, massive. Some fans found it jarring. They thought it was cringe. But others found it iconic and perfect for that feral energy we talked about. It was polarizing, for sure, but it got people talking.
And then there were the no music edits. Have you seen these?
I have. Fans were circulating versions of the scene with the music stripped out, often from the audio description tracks, so they could hear the raw sound, the heavy breathing, the pauses.
There's specifically a 7-second pause before Colin says because, when he's confessing his feelings. In the music version, the violins fill that space. In the raw version, it's just this agonizing, heavy silence. It changes the whole vibe.
It highlights the micro-expressions. It shows just how scared he was to say the words. When you strip the music, you realize this isn't a triumphant moment. It's a terrified one.
And we can't ignore the hand fixation, the handprint on the foggy window.
Iconic. It's a Titanic reference almost. But fans were also obsessed with the mechanics of the scene. The hand placement, the dress fix. It shows how starved the audience was for this couple to finally get together. They analyzed every single frame.
But not everyone was purely Team Colin. We have to pour one out for Lord Doubling.
The Doubling Defense Squad, yes. There was a genuine segment of the audience that mourned him. They viewed him as the head choice, rational, respectful. He treated Penelope as an intellectual equal. He was honest about what he could and could not offer.
He really was a decent guy, just wrong for her.
Right, he couldn't offer passion. But for fans who value stability and respect, seeing him walk away was actually sad. It added weight to Penelope's choice. She didn't leave a villain. She left a perfectly good option for a risky, passionate one.
Which brings us to the end. We leave the episode on such a high note. A proposal. Are you going to marry me or not? But there is a shadow looming.
There is. And this is the thematic question that haunts that cliffhanger.
We're happy, but we're anxious.
The core tension for the next chapter is this. Is a love built on the omission of truth sustainable?
Because he doesn't know.
He doesn't know. Connect it right back to the Eros and Psyche myth. Colin has proposed to Penelope. He loves the woman in the carriage, but he hates Lady Whistledown. He has spent all season talking about how much he despises the writer who ruined his family's reputation, who ruined Marina.
And he's proposing to her.
Exactly. He is in love with the woman, but he hates the writer. And they are the same person. He just doesn't know it yet.
So the happy ending of episode 4 is a bit of a trap.
It's a bubble, a beautiful, perfect bubble, and bubbles pop. The tragedy looming over all this joy is the question. When Colin inevitably looks upon her true face, when he finally sees Whistledown, will he flee like Eros, or will he stay?
That is the question that keeps us up at night. They have the passion, but do they have the truth?
We'll have to wait and see. But for this episode, for this one moment in the carriage, the passion was enough to change everything.
Thanks for listening to Pink Blade. If this episode revealed something new, you can follow to explore the next chapter. And if a moment stayed with you, share it in the comments. Until next time, this is Pink Blade.